Hey team, Adam from Build Beyond 40 here. Okay, so today I want to tackle exercise selection. Okay, making sure that you're using the right tools for the job. Now, what I like to use here is the shovels and spoons analogy. All right, now if I took you out into the backyard and said, right, I need you to dig me a 4-foot hole. And then I said, the two tools that you have to achieve this task are a shovel or a spoon. Choice is yours. Now, unless you have some type of mental impairment, chances are you're going to choose the shovel. And the reason you're going to choose the shovel is, dead basic logic in that it's the most efficient tool to get the job done in the shortest amount of time. If you choose the spoon to dig that hole, you're going to be there forever, and it's going to frustrate you to the point where you eventually give up. Okay, and that's what happens with most programs that I see. So people might get, a volume right, they might get the frequency of their workouts pretty much right, but then when I have a look at their programs and I see that, they're using cable crossovers and pec deck flies to build pecs and shoulders rather than using bench presses, dips, these type of movements, big compound multi-joint movements. That's what you want, because if your goal is to build muscle and strength, then you really need to pick the appropriate tools for the job. All right, that's squats and leg presses over things like leg extensions and leg curls. That's the way you want to go with it. Okay, so you want to be as efficient as possible, and when it comes to building strength and it comes to building muscle, then you want to be picking movements that'll give you the most bang for your buck. All right, so the reason most people use these sort of isolation cable type movements, particularly middle-aged guys, I see it a lot, and when I sort of call them on them, I'm going like, why are you using cable crossovers to build chest, for example? And they'll be like, oh, well, I'm getting on, and I don't want to injure myself, and so cables are a better fit for me. Well, you kind of, it's a very limiting belief thought pattern there. Okay, I can't do the basic compound movements because I'm going to get injured. I mean, unless you have physical impairments that'll stop you from doing those movements, then there's no reason that you can't be benching, squatting, deadlifting in your 40s, 50s, 60s. I was in a gym in Finland, for example, and there was a guy in his 70s who was still squatting 3 plates either side. Okay, so there's no excuses at all. Now, the other thing I want to mention when it comes to exercise selection is you need to group them out over the course of a training week, for example. So if you're, that's why frequency matters, because if you're training 4 or 5 times a week, that's a hell of a lot of exercises bundled into your workouts that really, when you start looking at what's needed, you can start pulling out, things like leg curls, leg extensions, lateral raises, all these type of stuff, all these type of movements that are really finishing movements. And it's not to say that they can't be used in a program. However, the fundamentals should come first. The big basic movements should come first. Get big and strong on those first. Build yourself up a good strength base. Build yourself up some muscle and earn the right to use these finishing movements, all right? There's no point using, it's like, why would you go out and buy car polish and wax when you don't even have a car yet? It's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. So when it comes to exercise selection, what I want you guys to do is take a look at your programs now and have a look if there's stuff that you're just wasting energy and time and recovery on. Remember, we talked about in the last video, right? You need to be able to recover efficiently from your workouts. And when you start filling out your workouts with movements that really are not going to get the job done, then you really need to pull them out and just bring your exercise selection into, maybe a half dozen, 6, 7, 8 movements max. So you're looking at like bench presses, they could be barbell, dumbbell, could be on incline, decline, things like dips. If your shoulders are able to do dips, you can, and you might even go into some cable assisted stuff. Even with pressing, if you have issues about doing free weighted barbell or dumbbell movements, then most good gyms are going to have hammer strength machines that you can kind of load up and progressively overload over time, and they work in a really good movement pattern. Okay, you can really focus on pecs and shoulders and stuff like that. So it doesn't mean that you have to jump into barbell and dumbbell bench presses if you don't have the confidence to do that. You can start on hammer strength machines. What I'm trying to impress on you is it needs to be a variation on theme. It needs to be a variation on the big basic compound exercises, right? That's what I'm getting at. So you're looking at stuff like bench presses, dips. You're looking at some sort of overhead press. You're looking at squats, deadlifts, a row, and maybe a chin up. And again, when it comes to chin ups and body weight type movements, if you don't have the strength to do like dips and chin ups yet, most good gyms will have machines that will assist you do them. So you can do assisted chin ups, you can do assisted dips, just until you build up the strength to be able to start with body weight. And then from body weight dips and chins, when you're starting to get really strong, you can start adding weight on a weight belt, and that's when you'll really see some major gains in muscle and strength. Okay, so what I want to impress on you today is choose the appropriate tools for the job. Choose the shovels over the spoons. Get in there, fill your workout program with just big basic compound movements. You only need a half a dozen, maybe 8 max in your program, worked over the course of a training week, over 2-3 workouts. That's all that's required. Okay, so homework assignment for the next few days is really sit down, analyze your workout program, and start to pull out all the stuff that you don't need, stuff that's going to really cut into your recovery ability, and just stay focused on the big basic compound movements that have added heaps of muscle and strength on people for decades. All right, until I see you next time, be good.